Title: Wife asks for open marriage, what happens next will shock you. Hey there, and welcome back to Lessons from Life. If you've been with us before, you know we dive deep into real-life stories that give us lessons in life, love, and everything in between. And if you're new here, you're in for a treat. Today's story is one that'll make you rethink relationships, trust, and what it really means to make a commitment. Before we get started, I want to make sure you don't miss the ending of this one. It's a story full of twists, and trust me, the lesson is one you'll want to carry with you. So make sure to stick around till the very end. Let's just say you'll be glad you did. Now, grab your popcorn, relax, and let's dive into this truly eye-opening tale. Let's start with John. John was a man who had been married to his wife, Candace, for 10 years. Like many couples, they had their ups and downs, but John thought they were doing okay. Sure, they had their struggles like most marriages do, but things seemed to be stable. But when Candace came to him one night and asked for an open marriage, that's when everything started to fall apart. Now, you might be wondering, how does something like this happen? After 10 years of marriage, how does a spouse go from "I love you" to "I want to sleep with other people"? Candace explained that she was bored, that John had gotten too comfortable. And honestly, that's when John felt a mix of confusion and hurt. How could she feel bored with him after everything they'd been through? But Candace's reasoning wasn't about just sex. It was about a sense of excitement, a sense of wanting something different. She said their relationship had become stale, and she wasn't getting what she needed. So, she asked John if he was open to the idea of opening up their marriage, suggesting that maybe that would bring the spark back. John was stunned. At first, he thought it was a phase, maybe she was just going through something. But as time passed, he realized that Candace was serious. John was no stranger to hard work. He'd built his life up from nothing, earning a good job, working his way up the ladder, and creating a stable home for his family. But when Candace suggested opening up their marriage, John's world was rocked. He couldn't fathom how their relationship had reached this point. Still, John agreed. He thought, maybe this will solve the problem. Maybe it'll give her what she's looking for, and I'll have peace in my marriage. But this decision turned out to be the start of a downward spiral. The problems that were simmering under the surface started to boil over. Candace began spending more and more time with her best friend, Kim. Now, Kim wasn't exactly the best influence. She was wild, loved to party, and was constantly jumping from one relationship to the next. John didn't like the idea of Candace hanging out with Kim outside their home, but he tried to stay calm. After all, they had an open marriage now, so what was the harm? But then John started noticing things. Every time Candace went out with Kim, John felt more and more like a stranger in his own home. He even showed up at a club unannounced once just to check in. He wanted to know if his suspicions were right, and what he saw didn't sit well with him. Candace, sitting quietly with a sparkling water in hand, while Kim was dancing provocatively on the floor. This wasn't the healthy separation John had hoped for. It felt more like Candace was embracing a new lifestyle, one that left John feeling sidelined. John tried to stay patient, thinking, maybe this is just a phase, maybe it's normal. But the truth is, when you feel your partner drifting away, it's never just a phase. It's a sign of deeper issues. As time went on, John couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. He began to wonder if Candace was truly being honest about her activities. So one day he decided to take matters into his own hands. He went through Candace's phone. And what he found shattered him. Now, I'm not saying that snooping is the right answer to relationship problems. But sometimes, when trust is broken and your partner seems distant, you feel like you have no other choice. And what John found wasn't just an affair, it was a betrayal on a level that hit him to his core. Candace had been seeing her best friend's boyfriend, and not just casually. There were messages, photos, and even videos of them together. John was stunned. How could Candace, the woman he thought he knew, be capable of something like this? It wasn't just the physical cheating, it was the fact that she had been hiding it from him for so long. Candace had crossed a line, and there was no going back. When John confronted Candace, she didn't even try to deny it at first. But when he showed her the proof, the videos, the text messages, she couldn't hide anymore. Instead of coming clean, Candace tried to turn the tables. She accused John of cheating with her stepsister, Billie Jean, who had been a supportive friend to John throughout his struggles. Candace even went so far as to follow John to Billie Jean's house, where things had gotten complicated. John couldn't believe it. Candace had been asking for an open marriage, yet she was the one who had crossed every boundary. This was the moment when John realized that no matter what they had been through together, Candace was no longer the person he could trust. The open marriage had become a way for her to hide her own infidelity. After everything came to light, John had no choice but to make a hard decision. He was done. The trust had been broken too many times, and he couldn't live like that anymore. The relationship that had once been built on love, hard work, and shared dreams had turned toxic. But let's pause here for a second. Divorce is a painful process, especially when you have children involved. John's son had grown up with this family dynamic, and he wasn't happy about the divorce. But as hard as it was, John knew it was the right choice for him. His son was old enough to understand that sometimes, it's better for parents to separate than to stay in a toxic environment. John didn't regret the good times they had. He didn't regret his son's birthday wish that led him back to Candace in the first place. But sometimes, life doesn't work out the way we hope. Sometimes, the best thing we can do for ourselves, and for our children, is to let go of a relationship that's no longer healthy. So, what can we learn from John's story? Well, the biggest lesson here is that trust is the foundation of any relationship. Once it's broken, it's incredibly difficult to rebuild. But it's not just about trust. It's about being honest with yourself and your partner. If you're unhappy, it's important to communicate that before things get out of hand. Open marriages don't solve problems, they often create new ones. Another lesson here is that we shouldn't ignore red flags. John saw the signs of trouble early on. He saw Candace pulling away, he saw her spending more time with Kim, and he even witnessed some uncomfortable situations at clubs. But he didn't push back. He didn't confront her right away. And while no one likes to rock the boat, sometimes we have to confront uncomfortable truths before they spiral out of control. Finally, this story teaches us that it's okay to walk away from a relationship that isn't serving you anymore. It's okay to choose yourself and your own happiness, even if it means making a difficult decision like divorce. It's not easy, but sometimes it's necessary for growth. So what do you think? Do you agree with John's decision to walk away? Or do you think there was a chance for him and Candace to work things out? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've ever been in a similar situation or learned something from John's story, I'd love to hear your perspective. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Lessons from Life for more real stories, lessons, and life insights. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and remember, life's lessons are out there, we just have to learn from them.